Performance Max campaigns are Google Ads' shiny new toy which promise to give you the benefits of unlocking new audiences across all of Google's channels and networks. They promise to drive better performance, give you more transparent insights. They allow you to steer automation with campaign inputs. And finally, they promise to simplify the process of campaign management and optimizing your ads. And to those benefits, my answers are yes, maybe, no, yes, and finally, yes and no. If we haven't met yet, my name is Aaron Young and I'm your 15,000 hour Google Ads master. And in this video, we're going to discuss Performance Max campaigns and go through what they are, plus the good, the bad, and the ugly of Performance Max campaigns. And then if you stay around to the end of this video, I'm going to show you the step-by-step process and how to set up your very own Performance Max campaign. Plus, I'll also let you know how you can download my free Performance Max guide, which includes a list of my best practices, which I've put together after split testing multiple Performance Max campaigns. And then it also takes you through the step-by-step process and how to set up your own campaign. So right now, let's get into Performance Max campaigns. But before we do, could you also do me the huge favor of not only liking this video, but also subscribing to my channel? And that allows me to continue to be able to release these weekly Google Ads training videos. Thank you so much. Let's get into the teaching. So firstly, let's go through the listed benefits that Google Ads is giving for Performance Max campaigns. And the first benefit that Google gave is that it's going to unlock new audiences for your Google Ads campaigns. And I do agree with this one. This one is correct in that Performance Max campaigns will open up your campaign to every individual channel and network that is available in Google Ads. So that means in one Google Ads Performance Max campaign, your ads and your messaging will go across all of Google's channels and networks, including shopping, search, display, maps, and also YouTube. So this means that by setting up one ad in a Performance Max campaign, that ad will show across YouTube, Gmail, search. Now in search, you do also need to notice that it does pull in ads from your Google merchant feed, so it will show ads in the shopping format and in also your normal text ad format. It does then also show you ads across the display network and then finally in your Discover campaigns. So a big tick for Performance Max campaigns is that it does make it easy for one ad to go across all the different channels and networks that Google offers. But when it comes to the second benefit that Google is giving of driving better performance across your goals, this is where I have to say a big maybe. And the reason for this is because I did some split testing across two different campaigns that had the same campaign settings and we saw completely different results. And the results could not have been more different. You can see for this first campaign where we spent $115, we got 14 sales or 14 transactions for a conversion value of $927, conversion rate of 7.82%, and coming at a ROAS of 8. So for every dollar we spent, the customer got $8 back in revenue, which is a good result, especially considering is that this was over the first 10 days. However, in the second campaign, using the same campaign setup and the same format of campaign, we spent $182, and in that $182, there was actually 0 transactions and 0 conversions for a 0 conversion rate and no conversion value. And we'll explain this in greater detail, but you can see here the biggest difference was in the second campaign, which did not see the good results. The issue was that it had too many conversion actions that it was trying to convert for. You can see here in the Performance Max campaign, it was calculating low-end conversion actions such as Google App Shopping page views or item views as actual conversions, whereas in the Performance Max campaign that was successful, it only had transactions as the goal, and Google was able to target those conversions and make the campaign profitable. So one quick initial warning with Performance Max campaigns is even if you have your campaign settings set to maximize conversion value, Google will still target traffic that will give them any type of conversion action, as opposed to the bottom line conversions which we're looking for, which are confirmed sales and transactions, which actually put more money in our bank account. Now we come to the third benefit which Google claims with its Performance Max campaigns, and that is that with Performance Max campaigns, Google is claiming that you get more transparent insights. And can I say this is a big no, and it's the biggest no that I've ever given. This is just plainly incorrect. Performance Max campaigns do not give you more data. In fact, you get very, very little data. Even if your campaigns are successful in that you're generating a lot of revenue and you're happy with your cost per conversion and you're happy with your total campaign ROAS, you still do not actually know which ad copies are being successful. You don't even know which search terms are triggering your ads. And then finally, on top of all of that, you don't even know which audiences and demographics are the ones which are giving you the highest return of value on your ad spend. This is the dashboard of our successful campaign where from that $116 spend, we actually got 14 conversions with the conversion value of $927 with that ROAS of 8. And while we might be happy with that performance, the issue that I have is that we actually don't get a lot of data. Now, granted, this has only been the first 10 days, but even once Google does have enough data for us, it'll only be giving us information like whether the ads were poor, average, good, or excellent. And then when we view this asset report, once again, it just gives us which of the individual headlines and descriptions, which they would rank as either a good, bad, or excellent performance. So this is nowhere near the same level of data that we would get in a traditional search campaign and a traditional search ad, where you would actually see the number of clicks, impressions, our click-through ratio, and then ultimately our conversion rates and cost per conversion against the individual ad copy. And then also remember that in your search campaigns, you can even go into individual audience and demographic data in those individual ad groups. So you can see how your audience segments are performing and also your demographics are performing by age, gender, and household income. So if you're looking to create a Performance Max campaign in the hope that you'll get more data and more insights, that is not the type of campaign for you. You need to continue to do a standard shopping, search, or display campaign. Now, the fourth benefit in regards to being able to steer automation with campaign data inputs, I do have to say that the functionality of being able to add in audience signals to your asset groups is actually a good feature, which does have some good potential. However, in the campaign that was successful, that campaign had a longer history in that we had about 3 to 4 years of positive data that we actually knew pre-hand which were the best performing demographics and which were the best performing audiences. And then on top of that, we also had some custom and similar audiences that Google could actually draw on to target people who had similar demographics and similar search history to people who converted in the last 30, 60, and 90 days. Whereas the second campaign that wasn't successful, we only had a limit of 60 days of data. So apart from the conversion actions which I mentioned earlier, I would say that the reason for why our first campaign was successful and the second campaign didn't see those same levels of success did come down to the quality of data that we were able to add to Google to steer the automation in the correct way. So while I've given this benefit a yes, it is a cautious yes, and that is based on the quality of data that you are able to provide Google. So if you've got a long history in Google Ads and some really high quality audience segments and you know your demographic targeting, you've got a much higher chance of seeing success with Performance Max campaigns very, very quickly. Whereas if you're new to Google Ads and you don't have as much data in your Google Ads dashboard, you may find some problems with Performance Max campaigns because you're not able to steer Google's automation in the correct manner. Meaning that you don't have enough upfront data to feed Google so that it stops going down certain avenues which you know are not going to be successful. And then the final benefit of simple campaign management and being able to easily optimize your ads, I've given this a yes and a no. Yes, it is correct that Performance Max campaigns are easy to manage, but that is due to the fact that once you have set up your campaign, you actually don't really have any optimized options that you can complete anyway. Apart from being able to add or remove asset groups or add or remove different ad copies, there's really nothing extra you can do in terms of optimizing your Performance Max campaign. Because as I've shown before, you don't see what search terms trigger your ads and you don't get the audience and demographic data to be able to go in and add in extra bid optimizations or exclude certain search terms. So yes, it is easy to manage, but that is because the campaign is based on automation rather than you manually optimizing your campaign to get those more defined and higher results. Now that we've gone through what a Performance Max campaign is, I want to take you through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And firstly, they are easy to set up. If you already have some headlines and descriptions and also some different images that you want to use, you can easily set up a Google Ads Performance Max campaign in under 15 minutes. There is also one advanced option where you can actually add in some HTML5 ads if you want greater control over the images which display in your ads. As we said, they do allow some level of targeting and optimization by adding in those audience signals. And this is something which is not available in other smart campaigns, such as your smart display or smart shopping campaigns. So that is a step in the right direction. And then as I showed in those two examples, they can actually produce some good results, with one of our campaigns seeing a ROAS of 8 in the first 10 days, where from an ad spend of $119, they saw just under $950 in sales. So that is some strong results. But remember, the reason that we're able to see that success is that we were able to feed some very strong audience signals in terms of our best performing audience groups and also our best performing detailed demographics into our campaign before it even started. Whereas for the second campaign, where we didn't have as much strong data over the previous months and years, the campaign was a failure over the first 10 days. So before you get too excited about Performance Max campaigns as being an easy way to generate money for your business, I want you to listen very, very carefully to the bad and the ugly. The bad, and from what I've seen, is that they will go for conversions over conversion value. And even if you have set conversions in your account where you've marked them as no, in that you don't want them to be counted as conversions, Performance Max campaigns seem to still target these conversion actions if you're not getting any confirmed sales or transactions straight away. So what I've found is that Performance Max campaigns will continue to target search terms, audiences, and demographics and the asset groups that are returning any form of conversion action, even if they're not the conversion actions which you have asked the campaign to focus on. And as we all know in business, not all conversion actions are the same. I would much prefer 10 confirmed transactions because I'm getting actual revenue into my account, as opposed to thousands upon thousands of product page views that don't end up converting. And then the second bad thing about Performance Max campaigns is that even though you add in some different audience signals, Google will still override your selections and go beyond your selections to find new audience groups and demographics groups. And that sounds great, but if you've got a very specific product, let's say for example a baby product, you already know that the only performing audience groups that you want to target are parents. And then within that, depending on your type of baby product, you only may want to target infants and toddlers as opposed to parents with older children. And my fear with these Performance Max campaigns is that they will still complete some testing on different demographics, which may be outside the demographics which you know are going to be more interested in your core products. And then finally, the ugly. And my biggest problem with Performance Max campaigns is that you just don't get any real data. As you know on this channel, time and time again, I repeat that one of the most powerful features about Google Ads is that you're able to take data and learning and then add in extra optimizations to increase your performance. And Performance Max campaigns, sadly, just don't give you enough data to be able to add in those extra optimizations so that you can continue to see month-on-month growth. And the other thing that I don't like is that even in one of the sections where you do get data, which is location data, you actually aren't even allowed to add in any extra bid optimizations. Your only options for targeting locations is that you can exclude different cities and exclude different states if they are underperforming, but you're not actually allowed to add in any extra bid optimizations to those locations which are performing well, where you want to go through and actually target more budget because they're performing better than the other locations. And my biggest issue with the lack of data is that you just don't get any clarity into what search terms are actually triggering your ads. Now, in the audience signal section, you are actually allowed to add in some different search terms that you want to target, but we do know with Performance Max campaigns is that Google will actually also grab data from your individual product pages, looking at the headlines, the descriptions, and the content that we have on that page in order to trigger your ads for different search terms. But without the ability to add in negative keywords, I do have a fear that there will be a lot of wasted budget in Performance Max campaigns. And even if you are getting positive ROI results, I still have a feeling that you could actually get better results in a standard search campaign or a standard shopping campaign, where you can actually filter in your search terms to a higher level to focus your spending on those search terms which are generating the highest level of return. So before we get into that step-by-step process and how to best set up a Performance Max campaign, let's go through a quick wrap up and actually see whether it's worthwhile for you. So my conclusion about Performance Max campaigns is that due to the limited options for targeting, especially around seeing what search terms are actually triggering your ads, you need to firstly make sure that your landing pages that you're using for a Performance Max campaign have a very clear title. And what I mean by that is the product title and product description needs to have a good search intent. So if you are selling, for example, baby earmuffs, you want to make sure that that is very clear in the product description and there are no other terms in that. And another word of warning is that Google's automation actually needs a lot of data. And while they haven't released the exact number of impressions in order for Google's automation to be able to see which performance groups are performing best, we can actually assume that it would be something similar in regards to Google's responsive search ads, where you need 5,000 impressions in a period of 30 days for Google to be able to actually get enough data to be able to target the right headlines and descriptions for different customers. So carrying that across to a Performance Max campaign is that your campaign would need around about 5,000 impressions in a 30-day period for each of your individual asset groups before Google has any idea on which are the best search terms, audiences, and demographics to target. So with that in mind, I would be estimating that you may even need around $2,000 to $5,000 in ad spend before you might start to see your money back from a Performance Max campaign. So for my conclusion, I come back to this core point. If you have a good 1 to 2 years of data in your Google Ads account, and by good data, I mean that you have a very clear and defined detailed demographic of who you need to target in terms of age range, in terms of income, and in terms of detailed demographic groups. Say for example, parents with infants or parents with toddlers. You've got a good chance by adding those into your audience signals that your Performance Max campaign will perform very quickly and you'll see positive results right from the start. However, if you are new to Google Ads and you don't have much account data, I would be cautious about starting with a Performance Max campaign. And the reason for that is that you're just not going to be getting any detailed data that you need to be able to make the correct optimization decisions so that you can see high levels of profit at the very start of your Google Ads campaign. And in case you're wondering, for me, how I will be using Performance Max campaigns moving forward is that I'll only be using these in Google Ads accounts where I've got some strong search and shopping campaigns which are already providing a high level of ROAS, and that I'm confident that I'm able to give Google some very strong audience signals in regards to our detailed demographics and regards to our audience signals. And then on top of those detailed demographics, I'll only use it on accounts where I actually have some very strong custom audiences in Google Ads. And the audiences that I would be looking at adding into my Performance Max campaigns are audiences such as similar to all converters, remarketing lists, and product viewers and cart abandoners. So in that way, I'm going to be using Performance Max campaigns as a bit of a bottom of the funnel strategy so that I'm still putting my main focus and my main budget spending into my standard search and standard shopping campaigns, and then I will use my Performance Max campaigns to retarget recent website visitors and also target recent product viewers who have viewed my product but are yet to purchase my product, and then also adding in those similar audiences, which are audiences which Google has grouped together with people who have purchased similar products and also completed similar search terms and have the same demographics as people who have recently converted and purchased my product. So that's me. I would love to hear your thoughts about Performance Max campaigns and how you're going to use them in the future. But right now, let's get into that quick step-by-step tutorial and how to set up your very own Performance Max campaign. Now, I'm going to go through this step-by-step process pretty quickly, but remember, stay around to the end of this video because I'm actually going to give you free access to my download guide where I'll explain this in greater detail, including screenshots for how you can set up your very own Performance Max campaign so that you too can see the best results in the quickest amount of time. Let's go. Once we're in Google Ads, we want to go into new campaign. And then when it comes to choosing our objective, I would be highly recommending that you use the sales objective so that we can at least tell Google that we're setting up this campaign to target people who are more likely to buy our product. So we select sales. And then after that, we want to make sure that we're putting a focus on purchases, and then we press continue. And this is where we see our campaign types. And obviously we're going to be selecting Performance Max, which will then automatically go through and add in our merchant center. And then from there, we can actually write in a campaign name. So we may want to write sales, and that just lets us know that that is a sales campaign and it's in the Performance Max format, but you can add any campaign name that you want to there. Then go through and press continue. Then we just quickly go through and add in the budget we want to spend every day, and then make the selection of what you want to focus on. And once again, I would recommend focusing on that conversion value as opposed to conversions. So we're giving as many signals as possible to let Google know that we want to focus on the highest level of sales. Then click next, and then you just need to go through and select your locations. In this instance, I'm just going to select Australia. We can keep the language in English, and then from there you'll have an option of whether you want your final URL expansion. Now I would recommend that we only send traffic to the URLs that we've provided, and then the reason for that is that we're stopping Google from doing unnecessary tests, and then we can confirm that we're only focusing on the products that we'll give Google in the later steps. With the more settings, you can go through and do this, but this is just going into our ad schedule, and also you can say whether you want to start the campaign today or set it for a future date, and then we click next. Now for the asset group name, when it comes to asset groups, you need to think of these like ad groups. So what I would do here is I'd actually go through and write an asset group, which is going to make sense to the product that we're targeting. And in this instance, we're going to be targeting baby earmuffs. So we're going to call this baby earmuffs. Now this next step is very important, and this comes into the listing groups. Now I would not recommend that you put all of your products into one asset group. And the reason for that is that by not separating out some different asset groups, it's going to take longer for Google to be able to break down and find which traffic is going to be the best performing for this particular set of products. So in this instance, we're going to click edit and we're going to use a selection of products. And for us, we're just going to go to the item ID, do a simple search for baby and select all of those products, then press save. In regards to the final URL, my recommendation would be sending this through to a product category page rather than your home page or your main shop page. And then from there, it's just a matter of adding in our images. Now in this case, we've already got an asset library built out, but you do have some other options where you can use the scan website function, or you can actually upload some manual images. But you just want to make sure that you're only selecting product images that are related to this actual product. So we have baby earmuffs in this one. So we'll go through and select some different baby earmuff images. And once we're happy with our selection, we can press save. The next option is to select our logos. Now for our videos, if you do have some different YouTube videos that you want to add, you can add these in here. If you don't need to worry about it because Google will actually create some different video feeds. Ideally, it would be best to add into a YouTube video if you do have that. And then the last section is where we need to add in our headlines, our long headlines and our descriptions. And you can just see the character markers which are set through here. And with the call to action, you can use an automated, but in this case, because we're looking at driving sales, I found better results if we actually use the shop now feature. And then finally, you want to write in your business name. And then down the bottom here is where you can actually go through and add in your audience signals. And now this is a very important step that in no way would I skip over. So what we're going to do, we want to go here to add new audience. We're going to write this and we're going to be writing baby earmuffs. And we want to also go through and create a new custom segment. Once again, we can just use the same naming format. And this is where you can actually add in some different search terms. And if you start to type, Google will give you some selections. And in this section, I very much see this as less is more. Now, we don't want to go through and add all of these, and you want to make sure you can get them as specific as possible. Now, for example, these are actually baby earmuffs, which are over the ear earmuffs, and they're not ear plugs, as in the ones you put in your ears. So I wouldn't be selecting any of these. And these are hearing protection earmuffs, so these are the ones that I would be wanting to use. And after you've selected these search term ideas, you can actually just press enter if you actually want the actual search terms that you're writing in. So baby ear and baby ear muffs. And once again, just go through and check those search term ideas to see if there's any extras that you want to add. And if you don't see any extra that you want to add, just click save. And then we need to go into your data. Now, this is where we can actually go through and add in all of our different visitors or shopping cart abandoners or our product viewers, and we add them in here. And then this is where we can then go through and add in another layer of detail. For this individual product, remember that we're dealing with a baby product. So we don't want to be selecting parents of preschoolers because it's not targeted for this individual product, but we do want baby and children's products, also parents of infants and parents of toddlers. And once you're happy with that, press save. And then finally, we want to go down into our demographics. And for us, we're wanting to actually go through and only select people in that 25 to 54 age bracket, because that's the ages which have historically performed the best for our campaign. So when you're setting this up, you need to look through either your Google Ads or your analytics data to also find those best ages which are converting. And then for us, because this is a baby product, we're wanting to only look at people who are a parent. And then we press save. And then from there, we press next. And we've actually selected that we want to use our account level site links extensions. If you don't have them already all set up, you can add these extensions in here. But for this example, we'll just click next. And then from there, we just need to check that we're happy with all of our details. And if we are, it's just a matter of pressing publish campaign. So that's my view on Performance Max campaigns. Why don't you leave me a comment and let me know what your thoughts are on Performance Max campaigns and whether you have been seeing success with Performance Max campaigns for your business. Now, as promised, if you want to get my free PDF download to actually see my recommendations for how you should use Performance Max campaigns, including the screenshots of how to actually go through the step-by-step process of setting up your very own Performance Max campaign, you can get that in the link in the description below. Now, one of the things that I did want to highlight with Performance Max campaigns is even though they are using a responsive search ad theme, is that you still need to use the best practices when it comes to writing ad copy in Google Ads. And in this video right here, I share my secrets on how you can write the best ad copy, which ensures that people don't only see your ad, but they also click on your ad. Thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you on our next training video. Bye.